What if I told you that the age of the earth, a concept we've all been taught to believe in, is not as simple as it seems? In fact, it's a belief that has been challenged for centuries. Imagine for a moment that everything you thought you knew about the earth's age, everything you've been told about Genesis and creation, could be completely reinterpreted. What if the story of creation in Genesis isn't about the literal age of the earth, but about something far deeper, something much more profound? For centuries, Christians have argued over the age of the earth, with some holding firm to the belief that it is only 6,000 years old, based on biblical genealogies. But here's the shocking question. Is this belief rooted in truth, or has it been distorted by interpretations that limit the message of Genesis? Could it be that there's a truth about creation that transcends the number of years? Something that speaks directly to our hearts, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of God's divine purpose for the world. In this video, we're going to uncover a story that has been overlooked by many, yet it holds the key to a greater understanding of creation. We will dive into the debate between science and faith, unravel the mystery of the age of the earth, and explore why Genesis is not a science textbook, but a powerful theological message. You will understand why the age of the earth doesn't change the beauty of God's creation, and why understanding Genesis can transform the way you view both science and your faith. So, before we go any further, take a moment to reflect. Do you believe the earth is only 6,000 years old? Or do you feel there's something deeper, something more powerful, about the way Genesis speaks to us? Join the conversation in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts as we unravel the truth of creation and its profound meaning for all of us. And if you find this video resonates with you, if it has touched your heart or given you clarity, please consider subscribing, liking, and supporting the journey as we continue to dive deeper into God's Word. Let's discover the full truth together. In 1650, Archbishop James Ussher, with unwavering faith and meticulous study, set out to answer a question that has perplexed generations. How old is the earth? Through his study of the genealogies in the Bible, Ussher boldly concluded that the earth was created in 4004 BC, down to the exact date, October 22nd. His calculations were rooted in the literal interpretation of the Bible, and for centuries, they were embraced by the Christian world. But here's the shocking truth. Ussher's theory is not the only answer, nor is it necessarily the truth that God wanted us to focus on. The question of the earth's age, while significant to some, has led us to overlook the deeper, more important messages in Genesis. The way Genesis 1 is traditionally interpreted places a heavy emphasis on a literal, scientific account of creation. For centuries, this has been the lens through which many Christians have understood the world, with an unwavering belief that Genesis must be read in a strictly materialistic way. However, as science has progressed, especially with the advent of geology and evolutionary biology, evidence began to challenge the idea that the Earth was only 6,000 years old. Fossils, rock layers, and the study of distant stars point to an Earth that is millions, even billions, of years old. This has created a rift between faith and science, leaving many to question, can both be true? Can the Bible, specifically Genesis, hold its ground as a divine text, or must we choose between science and faith? But here lies the true message of Genesis 1. When we read the creation story through the eyes of the ancient Israelites, we begin to see something completely different. The original audience of Genesis was not concerned with scientific details like the formation of rocks, the age of the earth, or the evolution of life. Instead, their focus was on the order of creation and its divine purpose. They were asking the question, why was the world created? What is our role in this created order? The message of Genesis is not about the material details of creation, but about God's purpose in bringing order to chaos, light to darkness, and life to a void. It is a profound theological story that speaks not to the physical how of creation, but to the deeper spiritual why. Consider the first verse of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This isn't just an opening line for a scientific explanation of creation. It is a statement of purpose, a declaration that God, in his infinite wisdom and power, created the universe to bring order. The world, at its very foundation, was created with intention and purpose. Genesis begins with a world that is formless and empty, a world of chaos, but it doesn't stay that way. God speaks, and order begins to emerge. The first act of creation is the separation of light from darkness, establishing the fundamental rhythm of time. Time itself is created as a divine structure in which all of creation can exist and function. God's creation of light on day one is not just about physical light, it's a spiritual light. In the ancient Near Eastern worldview, light symbolized life, truth, and the divine presence of God. Darkness, on the other hand, represented chaos, ignorance, and the unknown. The very first act of creation is God's declaration of his intention to bring life, order, and meaning into a world that was initially without form. This act of bringing light to darkness can also be seen as God's divine intervention into our own lives. We all experience periods of darkness, moments of uncertainty, pain, and confusion. But just as God brought light to the world in the beginning, he brings light to our lives today. His light dispels our fears, guides our steps, and shows us the way forward. Genesis chapter 1 continues with the creation of the sky and the separation of the waters on day 2. This act of separation was not simply about forming a physical boundary. It was about creating space for life, for freedom, for growth. The sky is not just the physical expanse that separates the earth from the heavens. It is a symbol of the space God gives us to breathe, to live, and to thrive. In the chaos of life, we often feel overwhelmed, as if there is no space to breathe, no room to grow. But God, in his wisdom, gives us that space. Just as he separated the waters on day 2 to create the sky, he provides us with the space we need to flourish, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. We are not meant to be trapped in a world of constant chaos and struggle. God offers us the space to find rest, peace, and renewal. Day 3 continues with the gathering of the waters and the emergence of dry land, followed by the creation of plants and trees. This act is not merely a physical creation of land and vegetation. It is an act of divine provision. The earth is created to be fruitful, to bring forth life that sustains and nourishes. Plants yield seeds, trees bear fruit. Life is given the capacity to multiply and grow. But this is more than just the creation of food. It is a reminder that God provides for all of his creation. He provides not only what we need to survive, but what we need to thrive. He gives us an abundance of blessings, love, grace, wisdom, and strength. Just as the earth is fertile and fruitful, so too are our lives meant to bear fruit. We are called to live lives that reflect God's goodness and provision. We are called to bear fruit in our relationships, in our work, and in our service to others. As we move through the days of creation, we see God's increasing involvement in the order of the world. Day 4 brings the creation of the sun, moon, and stars, lights in the sky to govern day and night, to mark seasons and times. These celestial bodies are not just physical objects, they represent order. They mark the rhythms of creation, rhythms of work and rest, of light and darkness, of time and eternity. God's creation is not a random accident. It is a divinely ordered system that functions according to his purpose. Just as the sun and moon govern the day and night, God calls us to live according to his rhythms. We are meant to work and rest, to live in harmony with the natural world, and to find our place within the divine order. The culmination of creation comes on day 6, when God creates humanity. "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," he says. This is the high point of creation. Humanity is created in the image of God, made to reflect his character, his creativity, and his love. Unlike the rest of creation, humans are not simply created to exist. We are created to reflect the Creator, to live in relationship with God and with one another. This is the great dignity of being human. We are made to reflect God's image and to partner with him in bringing order and beauty to the world. Being made in the image of God means that we are called to create, to nurture, and to serve, just as God did in creation. It means that we are not passive participants in life. We are active co-creators, stewards of the earth and of the relationships God has given us. We are called to bring beauty, order, and love into the world, just as God did from the very beginning. As we reflect on the creation story, we must recognize that the age of the earth is secondary to the message of Genesis. Genesis is not primarily concerned with how God created the earth, but with why he created it. And the answer to that question is clear. God created the world for his glory, for our good, and for the flourishing of all creation. Whether the earth is 6,000 years old or billions of years old, the message of Genesis remains unchanged. God is the creator, and he created the world with purpose, intention, and love. Now, let us move forward, embracing the truth that creation is not just about the physical world, it is about the relationship we have with the Creator. And that relationship, rooted in love and divine order, is what gives our lives meaning, purpose, and hope. As we delve deeper into the creation story, we must ask ourselves, what is Genesis really telling us? For centuries, the discussion around Genesis 1 has focused on the age of the earth, and whether or not we should take the biblical account literally. But what if we've missed the forest for the trees? What if the core message of Genesis is not about the age of the earth, but about the relationship between God, creation, and us, his people? Genesis, when viewed through the lens of God's divine order, speaks not just to the material world, but to the heart of our spiritual journey. The ancient Israelites did not view the world the way modern science does. They were not concerned with the formation of atoms, the age of rocks, or the evolution of species. They were concerned with understanding the purpose behind creation. Genesis was written to answer the why, not the how. And so, the story of creation isn't meant to be a scientific textbook. It's a profound theological narrative designed to reveal God's heart for his people. Imagine for a moment, you are living in ancient Israel. Your people have been through centuries of hardship, slavery, and exile. Life is uncertain, the world feels chaotic, and you're struggling to understand your place in it all. Then you hear the story of Genesis, the story of how God created everything. From nothing he brought order to chaos. From the formless void he established light, separated waters, brought forth land and filled it with plants, animals, and ultimately humanity. This story isn't just an account of creation, it's a story of hope. It's a story of how, even in the darkest of times, God is at work, bringing order to the chaos and purpose to the emptiness. But beyond this, there's something even more powerful that Genesis reveals. It's the message of divine order and purpose. Every day of creation is not just a moment of physical action, but an intentional step in establishing a world where life can thrive. On day 1, God separated light from darkness. Light was not just created to give us daylight, it was created to symbolize hope. It was the first step in revealing God's intention for a world where darkness would not reign forever. In our own lives, we often experience seasons of darkness, times of doubt, fear, or confusion. But just as God brought light to the world at the beginning of time, He continues to bring his light into our lives today. His light shines through our darkest moments, offering clarity, peace, and hope. On day 2, God separated the waters to create the sky. This is more than just a physical separation. It is a representation of the space God provides for life to exist. The sky symbolizes freedom, protection, and room for life to breathe and grow. In the hustle and bustle of our own lives, we often feel suffocated, overwhelmed by the demands of work, relationships, and society. But just as God separated the waters to give the earth space to grow, He offers us space to rest, to recover, and to find peace. In the chaos of life, God calls us to pause, reflect, and breathe in the space He has given us. As we move through the days of creation, each act becomes more profound. On day 3, God brought forth land and plants, creating a world that could sustain life. This wasn't just a physical action, it was an act of provision. The earth was created to provide food, shelter, and beauty for all that lived upon it. But more than that, it was created to demonstrate God's faithfulness. He provides not just what we need to survive, but what we need to flourish. We see this in our own lives as well. God provides us with more than just the basics. He gives us the abundant blessings of love, grace, wisdom, and joy. Just as the earth brings forth fruit, so too does God call us to bear fruit in our lives. We are meant to reflect His goodness, to nurture relationships, to create beauty, and to care for those around us. God's creation of the sun, moon, and stars on day 4 is a reminder of divine order in the world. These celestial bodies were not simply placed in the sky to mark time. They were placed to establish rhythm and structure. Just as the sun and moon govern day and night, God has established rhythms in our lives. Work and rest, activity and stillness, light and darkness. These rhythms are a reflection of God's divine design. In our own lives, we often struggle to find balance. We push ourselves too hard, burn out, and neglect the importance of rest. But Genesis reminds us that God has created rhythms for a reason. Our lives are meant to move in harmony with His design. When we align ourselves with the rhythms of creation, we find peace, purpose, and fulfillment. On day 5, God created the birds of the sky and the creatures of the sea. These creatures were not just created for their own sake. They were created to fill the earth, to be a part of God's harmonious creation. In the same way, we are created to be in relationship with one another, to fill the world with love, kindness, and compassion. We were never meant to live in isolation. God's design for creation is one of interdependence, where each part of creation supports and sustains the others. Our relationships with others are a vital part of God's creation, and they are meant to bring life and love into the world. Finally, on day 6, God created humanity. "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," God said. This is the moment when God's creative work reaches its apex. We are created in God's image, reflecting His love, creativity, and power. But we are not just passive creations. We are co-creators with God, called to steward the earth and bring order to chaos. Just as God brought order to the world in Genesis, He calls us to bring order to the world around us. We are not meant to sit idly by as the world spins on. We are meant to actively engage with creation, to care for it, to nurture it, and to bring beauty and order wherever we go. Genesis tells us that we were made with purpose. We were made to reflect God's image, to bring His light into the world, and to create a world where all of creation can thrive. This is the message that Genesis wants us to hear. We are not accidents. We are not mere products of chance. We were intentionally created by a loving God who desires a relationship with us and has given us a role to play in the story of creation. In our modern world, we often get caught up in the debate over the age of the earth, wondering whether the Bible is compatible with science. But Genesis isn't a science book. It's a story of purpose. It doesn't matter if the earth is 6,000 years old or millions of years old. What matters is that God created this world with intention and love, and He created us to reflect His image, to care for His creation, and to bring His order to a world that often feels chaotic. This understanding invites us into a deeper relationship with God and with His creation. When we see the world through the lens of Genesis, we understand that our lives have purpose and meaning. We are called to reflect God's image, to bear fruit, to bring order, and to share His love with the world. This is the heart of Genesis. The message of creation is a message of purpose, order, and relationship. As we continue to explore the beauty and depth of God's creation, let us remember that we are not here by accident. We are here to fulfill a divine purpose, to be part of God's beautiful story of love, grace, and redemption. Let that truth sink deep into your heart, for when we understand our purpose, we begin to see the world in a whole new light, a world filled with divine order, beauty, and love. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, He set into motion a story that would unfold for millennia, a story of light, life, and divine order. But as we look at the world today, we might feel a sense of disconnect. The world at times seems chaotic, fragmented, and filled with uncertainty. We find ourselves questioning the very fabric of existence, searching for answers that can bring us peace, understanding, and purpose. Genesis offers a profound answer to these questions, not in the form of scientific facts, but in the form of a divine narrative that reveals the heart of God and His intention for creation. Genesis was written in a time when humanity was deeply connected to the earth, where life and faith were intertwined. The ancient Israelites understood creation not through the lens of modern science, but through the lens of divine order. They saw the world as a place where God's presence and purpose were woven into every corner, from the highest heavens to the deepest seas. And this divine order is not limited to the physical world. It reaches into every aspect of our lives. On the first day of creation, God spoke light into being, separating it from the darkness. This act was not just about the formation of the physical world, but about bringing order to a chaotic and dark void. Light in Genesis symbolizes clarity, direction, and the very presence of God. In our own lives, we experience seasons of darkness, moments when we feel lost, confused, or overwhelmed. But just as God brought light into the darkness of creation, He continues to shine His light into the darkness of our lives. His light guides us, offering hope when all seems bleak. It is the light of understanding, the light of grace, and the light of divine love that illuminates our path. Genesis 1 shows us that creation was intentional. Each act of creation had a specific purpose, creating space, forming boundaries, bringing order, and making room for life to thrive. Day after day, God brought something new into being. Day 2 was the creation of the sky, separating the waters above and below. The sky wasn't just a physical space. It represented freedom, protection, and provision. It was space for life to breathe and grow. And just as the sky offers space for the birds to soar, God offers us the space to grow, reflect, and find our true purpose. In a world that often feels overcrowded with stress and distractions, God provides us with the space we need to breathe deeply, to find peace, and to reconnect with Him. On day 3, God gathered the waters, allowing dry land to appear. He called forth vegetation, plants, and trees to fill the earth. Again, this act was more than a physical creation. It was an act of provision. The earth was created to bear fruit, to provide sustenance, to nourish life. And in the same way, God provides for us, not just the bare necessities of life, but the abundance that allows us to thrive. The plants that grow from the earth are a symbol of God's faithfulness to his creation. He gives us more than we need to survive. He gives us what we need to flourish. Just as the earth produces fruit, so too does God call us to bear fruit in our own lives. We are called to reflect his love, grace, and kindness in everything we do, bringing beauty and life to the world around us. When God created the sun, moon, and stars on day 4, he was not merely creating celestial bodies. He was establishing rhythms and seasons. The sun governs the day, the moon governs the night, and together they mark the passage of time. This act of creation speaks to the importance of rhythm and balance. Just as the sun and moon follow a divine rhythm, our lives are meant to follow a rhythm, working when we need to work, resting when we need to rest, and living in harmony with the natural order that God has established. In a world that often values constant busyness, Genesis reminds us that there is a time for everything. We are not called to burn out, but to live in rhythm with the seasons of our lives, finding balance in our work, rest, relationships, and faith. The 5th day of creation brought the creation of creatures of the sea and birds of the sky. These creatures were not simply created for decoration or for human use, they were created to fill the earth with life and beauty. The animals are a reminder that life is interconnected. God's creation is a harmonious web, with each part working together to support the others. Just as the animals were created to fill the earth, we are called to fill the world with love, kindness, and compassion. Our lives are meant to be a reflection of God's love, a love that is not confined to us, but extends to everyone we meet. In caring for others, we participate in God's ongoing act of creation, bringing his love and peace to the world. And then, on day 6, God created humanity. "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," God said. This is the moment when God's creation reaches its peak. Humanity is created to reflect the image of God, to carry his love, creativity, and power into the world. We were not created to be mere spectators in the world. We were created to be co-creators, to partner with God in bringing order, beauty, and love to the world. The image of God in us means that we are capable of creativity, compassion, and stewardship. Just as God shaped the world, we are called to shape our lives and the world around us. But with this divine calling comes great responsibility. God entrusted humanity with the care of his creation. "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it," God commanded. We are not just to enjoy the beauty of creation, but to take an active role in nurturing, protecting, and growing it. This responsibility extends beyond the natural world. It encompasses our relationships, our work, and our community. We are called to bring the light of God's love into every area of our lives, reflecting his image in all that we do. This brings us to the deeper message of Genesis. God's creation is not just about the physical world, it's about relationship. Genesis reveals the divine intention for a world where humanity can live in relationship with God, with one another, and with creation itself. The world was created to be a place where life can flourish, where people can live in peace, harmony, and love. The story of creation is not just a story of what God made, but of how he made it, a world full of divine order, beauty, and purpose. In our modern world, where chaos often reigns, where we struggle to find meaning and peace, Genesis offers us a powerful reminder. God has already established order in the world, and he invites us to participate in that order. We are not powerless in the face of the world's challenges. We are co-creators with God, invited to bring his light, love, and order into the chaos around us. Just as God brought light to the darkness of creation, he calls us to bring light to the darkness in our own lives and in the world. As we reflect on the beauty and depth of God's creation, let us remember that we are not here by accident. We are part of a divine story, God's story, a story of love, order, and purpose. And as we live in relationship with God, we are invited to share that love and order with the world, bringing light to the darkness and hope to those in need. The story of creation is not just about how the world was made. It's about the divine order and purpose that is woven into every aspect of life, a purpose that calls us to live in harmony with God and with one another. Let us embrace this purpose and let it transform the way we see the world and the way we live in it. As we come to the end of this journey, I invite you to pause and reflect on the profound truths we've uncovered together. Genesis is not just a story of the physical creation of the world, it is a story that speaks directly to the soul. It reveals the heart of God, the Creator who, in the midst of chaos, spoke light into existence. His divine order and purpose shape not only the universe, but also our very lives. In the beauty of His creation, we are reminded of our purpose, our calling, and the love He has for us. We are not here by accident. We were created with intention, love, and purpose. When you look at the world around you, the chaos, the challenges, and the trials, remember that Genesis tells us that God has brought order out of chaos. No matter how dark the days may seem, no matter how uncertain life may feel, God's light is here. It shines through the darkness, offering guidance, hope, and direction. His divine order is still at work today, just as it was in the beginning. In your own life, you may have faced times of struggle, moments when you felt lost or overwhelmed. But just as God brought light to the world in the beginning, He is bringing light to your life today. His light can shine in the darkest corners of your heart, offering healing, peace, and clarity. He invites you to walk with Him, to trust in His divine plan, and to find your place within His greater story. Genesis teaches us that creation is not just about the material world, but about relationship. God created the heavens and the earth, and He created us to be in relationship with Him, with one another, and with all of creation. This divine order is not just a physical arrangement of matter. It is an invitation to live in harmony with God's will. It is a call to reflect His image, to bring order, beauty, and love into the world, and to care for His creation with reverence and gratitude. As we navigate the challenges of life, we are called to embrace the divine rhythm that Genesis reveals to us. The sun and moon mark the passage of time, the seasons come and go, and we too must find our rhythm in the world. We are not meant to be overwhelmed by life's demands. Just as God created space in the sky and the earth to allow life to flourish, He has created space in our lives to rest, to reflect, and to grow. Embrace that space. Take time to connect with God, to find peace in His presence, and to listen to His voice. If this video has brought light into your life, if it has spoken to your soul in ways that words cannot fully express, I invite you to show your support. Your engagement, your likes, and your subscriptions are more than just clicks. They are a powerful reminder that we are all part of this journey together. When you support this channel, you are helping to create a space where God's truth can be shared with the world. Your energy, your encouragement, and your presence are a blessing to me, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. If this video has helped you in any way, if it has touched your heart, or if it has brought you closer to understanding God's divine order, I ask that you consider leaving a comment below. Your thoughts, your reflections, and your questions matter. This is not just about one person's journey. It's about a community of believers coming together to explore the depth of God's love and purpose for our lives. So, let's continue this conversation. Share what you've learned, ask the tough questions, and let's grow together in faith. And if you feel led, please consider supporting this channel in any way you can. Whether it's a like, a share, or a simple comment, Every gesture, no matter how small, is a gift that keeps this mission alive. Your support fuels the work that I do, and it helps spread God's word to a world that so desperately needs it. Together we can bring light to the darkness, hope to the hopeless, and love to a broken world. Thank you truly for being part of this journey. Your presence is a blessing, and I am deeply grateful for you. May God continue to bless you, guide you, and shine His light upon you as you walk in His divine order.